A few years back, I found myself in a period of transition between jobs, in search of purpose. Life wasn't particularly favorable during that phase. I had left school and was meandering across the country, taking on odd jobs. While it may sound intriguing, it wasn't an adventure. My travels weren't about exploring the world, but about job hunting and finding my calling. I had few friends, and my family connections were limited, so I kept relocating from one town or city to another. The following story unfolded shortly after I relocated closer to a moderately sized town in northern Pennsylvania. This town exuded an old-fashioned charm, with its weathered buildings bearing the marks of time. Poverty seemed to hang in the air, but most of the residents were either friendly or preferred to keep to themselves. Upon my arrival, I couldn't help but notice a bustling restaurant at the town's heart, enjoying immense popularity. Given my culinary background, I felt I could contribute, so I stepped inside and promptly landed a job. After about a week, I started feeling optimistic about my situation. In what seemed like a whirlwind, I envisioned settling down in this town. However, there was a hitch. I still lived about 40 minutes away, which felt like quite a distance, especially with my unreliable car. Several weeks passed, and my conviction about belonging to this town grew stronger. I began actively searching for a place to live, either in or near the town, but my search yielded no success. The frustration of driving back home late at night after the restaurant closed was wearing me down. One Saturday, I found myself working until 3:45 in the morning, utterly exhausted and yearning for rest. As I embarked on the long drive home, I cranked up some 80s music to stay awake. The drive itself wasn't terrible, just lengthy, featuring endless stretches of countryside and farmland. About halfway through my journey, I noticed a white Mazda parked on the roadside, its hazard lights blinking. A small woman stood beside the car, urgently waving me down. Although my instinct was to keep driving, I empathized with her situation and decided to assist. As I approached her cautiously, she expressed her gratitude repeatedly. I asked about the issue, but she kept mentioning her tires without providing further details. I offered to help, inquiring if she had a flat tire or some other problem, but she didn't seem to grasp my questions. Upon closer inspection, I noticed her disheveled appearance. Missing teeth, unkempt hair, emaciated, and a voice that hinted at years of heavy smoking. Her proximity also carried an unsettling odor, making me aware of the potential danger. Sensing the danger, I began retreating slowly, contemplating a dash for my car parked about 20 feet ahead of her Mazda. She appeared to sense my hesitation and said, "Wait, it's not the tires. Something's wrong with the engine, and the car won't start. Could you lend me your phone?" I lied, claiming my phone was broken, to avoid taking it out in front of her. She then suggested I help her with her phone, pointing to the back of her car. For reasons I can't explain, I walked over to the back of her car with her, perhaps out of pity or a misguided belief in her story. Upon reaching the rear of the car, she urged me to open the trunk, insisting that she was too weak to do it herself. Red flags began to wave frantically within me. I turned around and noticed her hands in the front pocket of her hoodie. As I reached for the trunk latch, I contemplated my escape. But before I could act, I glanced through the back window and saw the silhouette of a person. This sight froze me in place, and just as I was about to open the trunk, the woman ordered, "Open it now." Reality snapped into focus, and I realized my error. I swiftly pushed her to the ground and sprinted to my car. Starting the engine, I sped away, glancing in my rearview mirror to witness a horrifying scene. In a split second, I saw a man wearing a beanie charging toward my car, while the woman brandished something that might have been a weapon. Though the darkness made it hard to discern, the threat was palpable. I drove at high speed, sweating and anxious, exceeding the speed limit as I raced home. Upon arriving, I immediately contacted the police to report the incident. Lack of cell service on those remote roads had delayed my call. I couldn't be sure of their intentions, but it was evident that whatever they had planned was sinister. That experience marked a turning point in my life. Shortly thereafter, I returned to my hometown and enrolled in the local community college. To this day, driving on dark, deserted roads triggers memories of that terrifying night, a nightmare I doubt I'll forget anytime soon. Approximately a year ago, an incredibly unsettling incident left me deeply traumatized. It all unfolded during my journey back home from college, which involved a 6-hour drive from my parents' house. I had decided to head home right after my final day of classes to spend the summer with my family and get ready for my senior year in the upcoming fall. Regrettably, my summer break began with an unforgettable incident that etched itself firmly into my mind. My last exam had wrapped up around 4 p.m., and I chose to have a meal with some friends I wouldn't be seeing over the summer. Our get-together extended longer than I had initially planned, so I didn't start my drive back until around 9 p.m. Knowing that I wouldn't arrive until roughly 3 a.m., my parents were understandably concerned about the late-night drive. The initial part of the journey from the restaurant was smooth, just a 10-minute drive to the highway, followed by a mostly straight path leading to my hometown. I really enjoyed driving at night. The minimal traffic and the feeling of covering vast distances in my car always invigorated me. It was a chance to lose myself in my thoughts or savor early 2000s tunes while feeling content. My habit of staying up late worked to my advantage, as I didn't have to worry much about fatigue. However, around the 2-hour mark, a heavy storm suddenly rolled in, making visibility difficult with its sideways rain. Prioritizing safety, I pulled into a rest area that featured a 24-hour gas station connected to a fast food joint. My plan was to grab a Red Bull and a quick bite, settling in to read until the rain let up. It was one of those rare moments when I wasn't in a hurry, thanks to a break from my school routine. Carrying some snacks and my book, I settled into my car, appreciating the bustling activity at the rest stop despite the late hour. As I gradually immersed myself in the last chapters of my book, I suddenly became aware of labored breathing outside my car. There was a woman pacing nearby, looking distressed and agitated. Although I hesitated to make assumptions, her behavior seemed somewhat erratic. I decided to ignore her and continued reading. Out of the blue, the woman lunged towards my car, pounding on my window and screaming. She was also attempting to open my door, or at least it seemed that way. I remained silent, trying to make sense of the situation. Her frantic pleas became more coherent as she begged to use my phone urgently, fearing for her safety. I refrained from unlocking the door but spoke through the closed window, asking her who was pursuing her. The woman's response was a jumble of incoherent cries and sobs, making it difficult to understand her words. Eventually, she managed to articulate her plea. "I see your phone right there. Please let me use it quickly." In that crucial moment, a newfound determination surged within me. Despite being labeled as weak and overly trusting by friends, I decided to be more cautious. After all, I didn't know this distressed woman, and her proximity to my phone made me hesitate. With newfound confidence, I countered, asserting that I could see the phone in her hand and that her ploy wouldn't work. Unexpectedly, her distress escalated further. She showed me the phone, revealing a shattered and cracked screen, and cried out about her husband breaking her phone. A chilling scream pierced the air as a silver pickup truck careened into the parking lot, veering over the curb. It was then that the woman's terror became palpable, prompting me to realize that she wasn't some unhinged drug addict. Instead, she was a woman in genuine peril. Before I could intervene, a smaller yet muscular man emerged from the truck and pursued the woman. Reacting swiftly, I dialed the police, only to discover that 2 squad cars had already arrived at the scene. They swiftly apprehended the man, who appeared oblivious to his impending arrest as he fixated on the terrified woman. With the situation under control, I ventured out of my car to ensure the woman's well-being. I apologized profusely for my initial skepticism and inquired about her safety. She arranged for a ride, and I remained in the parking lot for a while longer, attempting to process the shocking events I had just witnessed. Inside the convenience store, as I acquired coffee for the remainder of my drive, I conversed with the cashier. She recounted the woman's frenzied entrance, sharing stories of an abusive husband in pursuit. She also acknowledged the challenges of discerning the truth amidst the nightly influx of erratic individuals. She had called the police for the woman, but had also asked her to leave due to suspicions of substance use. Throughout my journey home, the incident weighed heavily on my mind. While I hadn't been directly threatened, the sequence of events had a profound impact on me. The fear and anguish etched into the woman's expression remained firmly etched in my memory, as did the sinister glare in the man's eyes. His ominous intentions were unmistakable as he sprinted towards my car in pursuit of the woman. To this day, the fate of the woman and the man remains unknown to me. What drove him to such malevolent actions continues to be a chilling enigma. Reflecting on that night, I realized that while I may not have been in immediate danger, the emotional toll and lingering unease serve as a haunting reminder of the fragility of our surroundings. Dealing with car troubles can be an incredibly frustrating experience, especially when you consider the numerous demands and responsibilities that already fill our daily lives. Imagine this scenario. You're already running late for work or heading out on a promising first date, and just as you're about to tackle the challenges of the day, your car decides to break down. It feels like the universe has thrown you a cruel curveball, and the frustration can seem insurmountable. This, among other compelling reasons, led me to reconsider my approach to vehicle ownership, transitioning from the traditional practice of buying cars to the more practical choice of leasing. The appeal of minimal maintenance and the promise of a reliable vehicle every few years were too enticing to ignore. Looking back about 4 years ago, I had a rather unsettling incident that solidified my shift in perspective. During what should have been a routine maintenance visit for my reliable SUV, a troubling discovery emerged. There was a recall that required immediate attention. Though I wasn't initially worried, considering recalls usually don't come with additional financial burdens, I had no idea what a complex series of events would follow. After patiently waiting for several hours while mechanics worked on my car, I finally left the service center, eager to get back to my day. But as luck would have it, just as I merged onto the highway, the dreaded check engine light came on, casting a foreboding atmosphere in the car's cabin. Moreover, the car seemed unwilling to go beyond 40 miles per hour, as if it were a reluctant marathon runner reduced to a slow jog. Without hesitation, I made a quick U-turn and rushed back to the workshop to uncover the source of this perplexing issue. The diagnosis was peculiar. The very components adjusted during the recall had, ironically, triggered this confusing problem. Though frustrated, there was a silver lining. It seemed like a straightforward issue to fix. A few days later, I experienced a distressing déjà vu as the same problem resurfaced, the check engine light glaring ominously, and my SUV refusing to go faster than a snail's pace. My patience was tested, and I immediately contacted the service center, my tone less composed than I would have liked. The consensus was clear. I needed to bring my beleaguered vehicle in quickly, and the fix had to ensure a lasting solution. At the auto shop, I found myself once again talking to Jerry, a friendly giant of a man with a unique dental arrangement. Though he sincerely apologized, it offered little comfort. This time, Jerry personally oversaw the resolution, involving me in a lengthy paperwork process. I hurriedly provided my address, phone number, and email, eager to get back on the road. After what felt like an eternity, Jerry returned with a wide smile, emphasizing the gap in his teeth. It was oddly reminiscent of an ancient graveyard, subtly adding to the surreal narrative. I thanked him and headed to my car, finding the keys neatly placed on the seat. As the engine roared to life, I was interrupted by Jerry, who urgently waved for my attention, seemingly concerned if I needed further assistance. I politely declined before rolling up my window, hoping my departure signaled my intent. A week later, a lingering unease still haunted me. My daily routine was interrupted by an enigmatic phone call from an unrecognized number. Annoyed, I answered, but all I heard was eerie silence. Repeated greetings went unanswered, replaced only by unsettling whispers and labored breathing. Frustrated, I hung up, eager to return to my entertainment. However, my relief was short-lived, as the same unfamiliar number called again, this time with the sound of breaths more audible. A plea for help echoed through the silence, but my questions were met with nothing but an unsettling atmosphere. Disturbed and somewhat spooked, I ended the call and blocked the number. Reality blurred with the surreal as a strange light, like a flash of lightning or an unusual increase in ambient light, briefly filled my home. In the ensuing chaos, I struggled to orient myself, eventually realizing that the television had turned off. Confusion gave way to chilling horror as I looked out the window and saw a male figure retreating from my property, briefly illuminated by an eerie light. He headed toward an inconspicuous car parked on the roadside, a plain red vehicle adorned with Sunoco gas stickers. Though the encounter was fleeting, it spurred me into action. I rushed to the front door in an attempt to gather more details, perhaps a license plate number or identifying features. Unfortunately, my efforts were in vain. The figure vanished from view, leaving only the peculiar Sunoco gas logo as a clue. With trepidation, I contacted the local authorities, providing them with every detail of the unsettling events. While I understood the limitations of their immediate response, my goal was twofold: to officially document the incident, and ideally, prompt increased police patrols in the area. However, days turned into weeks, and I received no updates from the police. Miraculously, my life returned to normal, freed from eerie incidents or unexpected encounters. Over time, the lingering effects of these bizarre events faded, replaced by a newfound sense of satisfaction with my vehicle. A shiny, new car, a symbol of innovation and reliability, now graced my daily routine, allowing me to navigate life's challenges with confidence. I remained diligent in maintaining it, with regular oil changes and inspections, but my loyalty had shifted to a different auto service center. I took meticulous care to ensure that the ghostly whispers of the past could not disrupt my days, safeguarding myself from the haunting shadows that once threatened to overshadow my daily life.